Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Charlie, for that introduction. None of these conferences would be what they are without technical glitches nowadays. It's the way of the world. But I'm very pleased to be able to join this Accessible Housing Summit. I think that we can all agree that having a safe, warm home is one of the key factors to enable independent living. Being part of a community and able to participate fully in that community is important for our health and well-being. I was looking at the programme for today and I was pleased to see that one of the sessions was about sharing people's experience. Lived experience is one of the most important aspects to consider when developing policy. People have shared what matters to them, and it is important that we listen and incorporate these views when developing new policies. Access to a suitable, warm and affordable place to call home is at the heart of the Scottish Government's ambition for a fairer Scotland. We have already transformed access to affordable housing with record investment of over £3.5 billion over this parliamentary term. And we will continue to do so with a further investment of £3.4 billion over the next 5 years to deliver even more social and affordable homes, continuing to ensure that we have the right homes in the right places. The government is committed to delivering housing that's fit for purpose now and also for the future. And that's why our local housing strategy guidance requires local authorities to set targets for wheelchair accessible housing across all tenures, including reporting annually on progress. And it's why we have committed to delivering and reviewing and updating the Housing for Varying Needs Design Guide, which, although is still a good standard, is now 20 years old. Of the information returned to us, 95% of the new build grant subsidised homes completed by RSLs and local authorities in 2019-20 met Housing for Varying Needs standards. Having an accessible home is vital for everyone, and adaptations can help people to live independently in their own homes. And we're committed to delivering housing that's fit for purpose now and also for the future. As well as new housing, we need to consider what needs to be done to make existing homes more adaptable and accessible. There is good practice already out there in the sector. One example is the SFHA Toolkit, which has been created to help housing associations and cooperatives explore how they can incorporate inclusive design into their developments. For example, when undertaking a programme of refurbishment, consider a wet floor shower instead of automatically replacing a bath. This is not about making changes because someone is older or living with a physical disability or dementia. It is about making homes as accessible as possible and planning for the longer term now. We know that disabled people are more likely to live in social rented housing. A fifth, 22% of households with at least one member with a disability or long-standing illness say that their new home requires adaptations. And despite a challenging budgetary settlement, we have protected and increased the funding available to RSLs to deliver adaptations for their tenants. The adaptations budget for disabled and older RSL tenants has increased by £1 million in 2021-22. We are delivering for people across the country, but one of the key things for me is for us to continue to listen, to learn where we're not getting it right, and also to take on board the views and the experiences of those folks who have lived experience. I believe that Katrina McKean of Better Homes is taking part in the session later this morning, and other Scottish Government officials are attending the conference today. So please take the opportunity to pass on your views and your experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate your patience there with those technical glitches. The emojis have been going strong and fast as you've been speaking, so a very positive reception and many thumbs up and clapping hands, so really appreciate it. Kevin, are you able? So I'm going to go Craig Hanlon. Craig Hanlon has requested mic access. Kevin, I'm learning how to use this one as well, so bear with me. But Craig, do you have a question or put it in the chat bar? Here we go. We're providing them with mic. Craig. No. No. Kevin, I was going to ask you in the meantime, what you feel the biggest, your long-term commitment has been there, absolutely, in terms of accessible and affordable homes. The biggest commitment that the Scottish Government have made to date, what are you proudest of, I suppose?
I think what I'm proudest of in terms of this housing programme is that we have delivered more social and affordable homes than at any time since devolution. And that's even with the real blip that there has been with COVID, where obviously there was a stop to building. But we have to continue. And that's why we have worked very hard in putting together Housing to 2040, which is a long-term strategy, the first long-term strategy for housing in Scotland. And at the heart of that, we have to recognise that there are different homes required to meet the needs of different people. And I think that one of the key issues that we have at this moment in time is ensuring that homes are fit for the future, so that they are adaptable, that you know, they are fit for the 21st century at a time when we have a climate emergency. So many things are being looked at this moment, and this is our opportunity to map out what the future should be.
Yeah, thank you. And absolutely, we were talking earlier actually about that climate emergency and how we're experiencing that in terms of housing. So greatly appreciated. I do have a question here from Lynn Jardine at Connected to Live in Scotland. Given the bulk of our new housing in the private sector, do you foresee a point in time when there will be requirements of them in terms of building standards and design that make all new homes adaptable? So standards making all new homes adaptable, even in the private sector.
I think at this moment in time, it's debatable whether more homes are being delivered in the private sector rather than the social and affordable sector. But you know, one of the key things in all of this is that we need all homes to be adaptable. And at the Homes for Scotland conference a couple of years ago, the vast bulk of my speech at that conference was about them building adaptable homes, more adaptable homes. It is in their interest to do so, I would say, in order to attract customers for their product. And what we also intend to do from a government perspective is to continue to improve building standards, to ensure that we are doing these things right. And I'll give you an example from my own experience. I had a member of staff in Aberdeen with a severely disabled daughter, whose home was very well adapted to meet the needs of his daughter. And one of the things which was annoying for me was that the estate agent who was marketing his home said that, you know, you should get rid of all of these adaptations before you put this house in the market, which is nonsensical, really, because his experience of moving elsewhere was finding difficulty in getting an adaptable home. So I think we've still got some attitudinal changes to be made there. And quite frankly, you know, there could well have been a premium for all of the adaptations that had already taken place in that home in Aberdeen. So I think, as well as the regulatory change that we need to bring in, we need an attitudinal and cultural change around about many of these things.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent points. One more question, Kevin. In terms of accessible housing and ensuring that it's across all tenures, Lorna Cameron was wondering how much of a challenge you think that will be. You've touched on that earlier, but just if there was anything else on accessible housing across all tenures.
I think, you know, life is full of challenges, but at the end of the day, there were probably folks a number of years back who said, you know, the housing for varying needs standards was too hard to meet, let's be honest. And now, in terms of the social and affordable sector, that's more or less the norm. And as I said earlier, we are now reviewing all of that to see if we can improve further. So changes to standards, changes to building regulations may be made from certain quarters with, you know, oh, is that really necessary? The shrugging of shoulders. But it is. And, you know, we should just all push forward in terms of making all of this a reality. You know, from my own experience, you know, what I've seen as a constituency MSP over the piece is, for example, a reduction in the amount of folks who want to go into sheltered housing, for example, and they want to be able to stay in their own homes. We must ensure that all homes are fit for the future and can be adapted. And we also need to take cognizance of the fact that things are changing. So a good example that I've seen in recent times, well, I'm saying recent times, I haven't been out and about for a long while like many of you, but in Inverness, not so long ago, one of the developments there, they had ensured that all of the flats within that development was suitable for the introduction of a hoist system if that was necessary. And one of the things which folks were telling me was because, you know, things are changing in terms of folks' lives. Some of these hoists now have to be able to carry greater weights than previously. And all of that was built into that development. So it wasn't necessarily the case that folk were needing hoists as soon as they moved in, but, you know, the ability to make those changes rapidly were in place if that was necessary. And it's that kind of thinking that we need to put into planning for developments.
Kevin, thank you very, very much. We can tell by the background there that you're at the Parliament at the moment, so we won't take any more of your time. We greatly appreciate the time you've given us. Apologies for all these technical glitches. We are getting there, but hugely appreciated by the audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, and I hope all goes well. And take advantage and speak to the Scottish Government officials that will be joining you today and give them a prod in terms of pushing us in the right direction. Thank you very much.